Well, that's the end of round 22. There were some crazy results. It's all to play for. We're going to run through all 9 matches, plus where that sits every team in the AFL. So sit back, enjoy. This is the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. Welcome on into another episode of the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. Today is episode number 56 of season 2025. This is our round 22 review episode. We're going to be going through all 9 matches from the round 22 of the season. Things are heating up. Things are really starting to sort of take shape, but at the same time, who knows what's going to happen over the last couple of weeks. A lot still to play out before we get to finals. So we're going to go through the 9 games today over the next hour or so. All the key stats, all the key numbers. We'll do our Brownlow update and MVP updates at the end of the episode as well. So make sure you stick around. Like the video if you enjoy it. Hit the follow/subscribe button depending what platform you're on right now. And also, don't forget to leave a comment and let me know how your team went on the weekend. We're going to be jumping through all 9 matches in order that they were played. So yeah, that's it. Before we carry on, a little bit of housekeeping, I guess, over the next couple of weeks. Things are slightly changing, obviously, with AFLW season kicking off in just a few days' time. We're going to be adding AFLW content into our regular podcasts / videos on YouTube. So make sure you check it all out. We're really keen here at All Aussie Rules for the AFLW season. The exact process of that is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be similar to what we did late last year. So we'll do 1 episode each week on the men's game and 1 on the women's as of a couple weeks' time. Once the finals rolls around in the men's competition, it'll go to 1 men's episode and 1 women's episode each week instead of the 2 men's episodes that it's been all season long. That's just how it's going to be. So Monday episodes every week will be the men's episode on the AFL competition, and the Thursday episode each week will be AFLW. There will be a little bit of crossover here and there, but that will be the main focus. Also, if you're not watching or listening to this on the YouTube channel, make sure you head over there, hit that subscribe button, because there will be plenty of content coming out over there over the coming weeks, especially AFLW season starting. We will do a season predictions video that will be out in the next day or two. Hopefully on Tuesday is the plan. There will also be plenty of other content on the AFL men's competition. We'll do a ladder predictor this week, no doubt. We'll do plenty of other content. So go check it out. Hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to let your friends know. Also, you can find us on all social medias pretty much. We're All Aussie Rules everywhere. So go check it out. Let's jump into football because that's what we're here for. We don't want to just sit and talk the whole time about nothing. Let's jump into the games of football. And it started with a massive game on Thursday night. It was Hawthorn hosting Collingwood at the MCG, and boy oh boy did Hawthorn make a statement. Hawkball 2025 is officially back. They nearly got over the line over Adelaide last week. This week they get the job done. Collingwood's freefall continues. I'm not saying that they're done with, but the last few weeks have been pretty rough for the Pies. If we're to look at the scoring of this game, first quarter was pretty close. It was just a goal in it at quarter time. Hawthorn kicked the first couple before Collingwood got one back midway through the second quarter through Myercheck, and then Jamie Elliott had 2 shots in a minute and missed them both. And then within a minute, basically, Hawthorn went up the other end and kicked a goal, and then they kicked like 5 or 6, I think, going into half time. So really just turned the game there very quickly. Gunston, Lewis, Chol kicked a couple, and Lloyd Meek got the last one before halftime to give them the 39-point lead at halftime. And from there on, it was pretty much over. Hawthorn just kicked away further and further. Ended up winning by a comfortable 64 points. It was a bad day for Collingwood. It was a great night for Hawthorn. I guess there's a lot of excuses in the game for Collingwood, potentially. Obviously, they lost Jeremy Howe, who here at All Aussie Rules we've been saying all year is probably their most important player on their team as a defender. He just holds their defense together. So to lose him 80 seconds into this match was not ideal for them. Through concussion, he'll obviously miss the game against Adelaide as well, so that's a big concern for this weekend for Collingwood as well. But Hawthorn just did the job. It was a 5-day break as well for Collingwood, so every team pretty much off a 5-day break this year has just looked ordinary, and Collingwood were just another one that's done that. You look across the list of teams that have been beaten by a 5-day break, and there's some very good teams in there, so maybe we just completely forget about this one. It wasn't a great day for Collingwood, but it is what it is. If you're watching this video and not just listening to it, you will see the graphic from our game, or from this game, up on the screen right now. That tells you that team rating was Hawthorn 50.98, Collingwood at 37.94. Massive difference there. That's, I think, Collingwood's worst game of the year. Their 3 worst games, 2 of them have been the last 2 games, Brisbane and then this one, and the other one was the GWS in opening round. So some bad signs coming up for Collingwood, but Hawthorn absolutely flying. They would be stoked with this result. We'll go through some team stats before we go individual players. Pretty much across the board, it's going to read really well for Hawthorn. Plus 70 disposals. They just had the football all day long. Collingwood couldn't move it, couldn't win the ball, and when they had the ball, they couldn't do anything with it. Inside 50s were plus 6 for Hawthorn, so not a massive difference there, but comfortable enough. Plus 18 contested footy, obviously plus quite a bit uncontested footy. Intercepts, 59 apiece. That's been Collingwood's trademark all year, leading that intercept count. Didn't do it here, so another bad sign for them. Not too many turnovers for either team, which is a good sign, but Collingwood will be very disappointed with the amount of turnovers they created, I think. Clearance-wise, Hawthorn plus 5. Total shots plus 12 for Hawthorn. Clearly the better team on the day. Some accurate kicking certainly helped. Expected margin probably around about 9 goals, so maybe an extra 2 goals than that was the official result. Tackle count for both teams was really low. Collingwood will be disappointed with just 42 tackles. They did have 5 more than Hawthorn, but they pride themselves on tackling, and they certainly haven't bought that in this game. Scoring-wise, from the stoppage was where Hawthorn did a bulk of their damage, 45-15, real dominant performance from stoppage scoring, but they also did it from turnover, thanks to some poor, inaccurate kicking from Collingwood. They won that 64-25, Collingwood 3 goals 7. They did it all from pretty much every source and origin, really, Hawthorn. 52-24 from the defensive half, so they transitioned it really effectively. Collingwood just couldn't stop them, but they also did it from the forward half, 46-9. Collingwood just got 9 points from the forward half, which is typically their best area of the game, scoring-wise, so they will be absolutely very disappointed with that. They just didn't bring any sort of real pressure or real ability to create the turnover and then to bounce it back, sort of thing. Brownlow votes for this game. John Newcomb, we've gone 3. He had a bit of a HIA assessment after the head knock with Jeremy Howe, but came back on and played a really good game throughout this one. His final stats, 28 touches, kicked a goal, 7 clearances, was really good. Jarman Impey, I've given the 2 votes to, 25 touches. He was really good at bouncing the ball, running the ball. 494 metres gained. Doesn't sound that massive, but in the context of this game that nobody really had massive metres gained, he was the number 1 metre gained person on the ground. And we've gone to Lloyd Meek, clearly won the ruck contest. He had 10 disposals, kicked 3 goals, including 2 in the first half. So he had a really good game. I think he deserves a Brownlow vote for that. Nick Watson was really good early, but probably faded out of the game a little bit. Not that it mattered, because they certainly just dominated throughout, but he was really good early and potentially could get a vote maybe. MVP votes, if you're new around here, we do top 5 players for every team get votes in the MVP, which also accumulates to the club best and fairest that we do as well. The winning team gets 10 votes for their best, then 8, 6, 4, 2, down to their 5th best. And the losing team gets half of that, so 5 for their best player, 4, 3, 2, 1. Based on the All Aussie Rules rating system that we do for every single game, for every single player. we don't really release the numbers too often. We do bits and pieces of them, but we don't just release the full numbers each game. Maybe one day I will. It's just a lot of work to put it in a graphic sort of thing. So at the moment, that's how it is. For Hawthorn, Lloyd Meek was their highest rated player. He gets 10. Impey gets the 8. Newcomb gets the 6. Nick Watson, 4. And Dylan Moore was good as well. He gets 2. He had 25 touches and a goal. Gunston, unlucky, kicked 4 goals. Chol, he kicked 3 goals, also unlucky. Overall, Hawthorn had a lot of good players in this game, and we only narrow it down to 5, so that's just how it is. For Collingwood, 5 goes to Darcy Cameron. Was not anywhere near his best. Was certainly a lot worse than Lloyd Meek in this game. But Collingwood's players just didn't rate well in this game. Braden Maynard gets the 4 votes. He was really solid and tried his heart out. He's been in some pretty good form most of this season, to be honest. Scott Pendlebury gets the 3. Once again, slightly below average for him, but that is what it is. Myercheck kicked a couple goals in this game, had 4 shots, could have done slightly better, but he gets the 2. And Nick Dacos was their 5th best player, but I think he was 17th rated player on the ground. So that's more an indication on how the rest of the team went, that he was their 5th best player, in all honesty. That's pretty much a wrap on that game. We'll just quickly have a look at where both teams are at and what this means going forward. Collingwood have dropped down the ladder. They're going to be 3rd on the ladder at the end of this round. And with a big game against Adelaide next week in Adelaide, if they were to lose that and lose 5 of 6 games, I don't think they'll miss finals, but boy, oh boy, will they be starting to get a little bit nervous about what's going on, because it's been a bit of a free fall. You never know. They could come out after a bit of a 9-day break and play a lot better against Adelaide, but we'll wait and see how that one plays out, but it's a bad sign nonetheless. Hawthorn, they have Melbourne next week. They need to win both games to guarantee finals, with the Bulldogs 1 game behind them and much higher percentage. It's very important for them that they win both games. Potentially, I think they finish with Brisbane in Brisbane, so that will be a really big game. But they're still in a safe-ish spot, the 7th on the ladder. All they can do is win games of football, and next week they have Melbourne, so that should be a possibility to win that one. That's pretty much everything we have for game 1. We'll move into Geelong Essendon. It was Friday night football, and the Cats did what the Cats needed to do. They won by 44 points. It was 15-19, 109 to 10-5, 65. Not their best performance of the year, but it wasn't a bad performance. They did what they needed to. After they've demolished a few teams of late, this one was more of a just a solid performance, I think. They did some damage early, kicked 4 goals. The first 4 goals of the game looked pretty comfortable at quarter time. It just kind of extended most of the way through the rest of the game. Essendon had a spurt where they kicked 4 goals in a row in the 3rd quarter, but outside of that, it was pretty much just one-way traffic. Geelong, we'll have a look at some of the team stats. As you can see, team ratings on the screen have Geelong massively in front in this game, 47.7 to a 38.66. That's pretty much what we expected it to be, in all honesty. Geelong just have the better class on their list right now, and Essendon have obviously a lot of injuries. Moving through the team stats and the important numbers, I guess, for this game. Disposal numbers, not that much dissimilar between the two teams, plus 18 for Geelong. Not a huge amount. Plus 5 inside 50s. They certainly had the ball in their forward half a lot more, the Cats. They won contested footy by 15. The intercept game, they won by 12. Clearance game by 9. So they're just pretty much winning every key stat. Ended up having 18 more shots, 36 to 18. So doubled their shot count. Probably could have won by a bit more if they had a kick straight. Obviously 15-19, whereas the Bombers were 10 goals 5. Could have been a little bit worse. And when you look at the stoppage scoring, that's probably where Geelong let themselves down a little bit here. 1 goal 7. So Essendon actually outscored them from stoppage. 4 goals 2, 26 to 1, 7-13. But inaccurate kicking let themselves down a bit there, Geelong. But what Geelong do best is turnover scoring, and they did that again here in bulk. 95-27, absolutely dominated it. When they're playing their best football, that is where they're scoring massive, and that is what they've done here. Score origin from the back half, 41-24 in favour of Geelong. From the forward half, 60-34 in favour of Geelong again. So a pretty consistent across the board win from Geelong. Did what they needed to and get the 4 points. Looking at players, Brownlow votes, and whatever else is important from this game. Brownlow votes were gone. Bailey Smith, 3 votes. He had another 31 touches. A pretty solid game from him. It wasn't outstanding, but he certainly had a lot of the football. 9 clearances. Did what he needed to. 738 metres gained as well. Sean Manor, he gets the 2 votes, 20 touches, 3 goals. Really good. No, I didn't give him 2 votes. Sorry. I gave Max Holmes 2 votes. Sean Manor got the 8 votes in the MVP. I've lost the plot. Max Holmes gets 2 votes for 29 touches. 12 of those contested. Played a really good game. And Zach Merritt for the Bombers, he was their best player. 27 touches. Kicked a goal. Did what Zach Merritt does best. Did break his hand, so I think he's going to miss at least this week, which would have been his 250th, I believe. But still a very good game from him. MVP votes now. Bailey Smith gets the 10 votes. Sean Manor gets the 8 for his 20 touches, 3 goals. Jack Bowes even. He gets 6 votes. I'm struggling here, guys. I don't know what I'm talking about. 24 touches in this one. He was really good. Grind Myers continued his great form. He's been really good of late, and this one was another good one. 22 touches and a goal. Had multiple goal assists as well. And Blixarves, as the backup ruckman, floating around the ground a lot. 22 touches, 2 goals. Played a really good game. For the Bombers, as we said, Zach Merritt was their best player. He gets the 5. Liam McMahon continued his pretty good start to his career. He had 4 goals in this one from 5 shots. A good performance. Sam Durham gets the 3. He had just 18 touches, but he was pretty effective with the ball. Andy McGrath gets the 2, and 1 goes to Jade Gresham. Geelong just too strong. Their season continues to roll on. If we look at what that means, Geelong actually jumped to 2nd on the ladder. Right now, that's huge for their season. With what they've got to come, they've got Sydney next week in Sydney. They win that one, they pretty much guarantee themselves a home qualifying final, which would be massive for Geelong, depending who they play in that first week of finals, but it certainly would be a massive advantage to guarantee 2 home finals. The Bombers, their season's rolling to a close. They've still got 3 games to go with that make-up game against Gold Coast. It's probably not going to be a win for them in those 3 weeks. They've got St Kilda, Carlton and Gold Coast in those 3 games. They're 15th on the ladder. It's probably where they finish. Could conceivably drop a spot. They certainly won't go up any spots. They'd have to win 2 games to move up. So they're going to finish pretty low on the ladder, get some decent draft picks. But, they're just counting down to the end of the season. They have been for a few weeks now. It's been a while since they've won a game. It's just how it is for the Bombers right now. Obviously, their injury list has been pretty major this season. We moved to Saturday football, and it started with Richmond, St Kilda. This was not one of the most exciting games of football you will ever see. Richmond nearly stole it. One of many close games this weekend so far. It was 7-10-52 for the Tigers. It was 8-8-56 for St Kilda. St Kilda won it by 4 points in the end. It was a weird sort of game. It was not one of the most entertaining games, but St Kilda kicked the first 3 goals of the match before Richmond got one just before, it was a few minutes before quarter time, to give St Kilda a 14-point lead at quarter time. They came out second quarter. Richmond had a pretty good quarter, kicked 3 goals to 2. And then third quarter, they took the lead, had the lead at 3/4 time by 8 points. Up until the halfway mark of the final quarter, Richmond were leading. Cooper Sharman kicked a goal to give St Kilda the lead. by 4 points, and that's basically where it stayed. Both teams got a point back to back midway through that last little bit. Seth Campbell had a chance to kick the winner, but he didn't. And St Kilda held on for the win. They definitely were the better team on the day, but Richmond did what Richmond have done to many teams this season and put up a really good fight, just couldn't get the job done. I don't know what else to say about it, really. We look through the team stats now, and it will be domination one way. St Kilda had a lot of the football in this game. Disposal numbers plus 60 for St Kilda. Metres gained were pretty much dead level for both teams. Inside 50s plus 2 for St Kilda. Forward halftime was actually in favour of Richmond, which is a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, not so much, because St Kilda just had so much uncontested football in their back half. Mainly because of the flooding of Richmond, but at the same time, they just didn't make much moves. Richmond really good in the contest, plus 11 contested possessions. They actually won clearances as well, plus 5. So Richmond put up a good fight. Both teams ended up with 16 shots in this game. Could have gone either way at 100%, but in the end, St Kilda, they're probably slightly more class overall across the list. Got them over the line in the end, I think. Scoring from everywhere was pretty low. It was 56 to 52. Richmond from stoppage 21 to 14. From turnover, it was St Kilda 42 to 29. And then from defensive half, 28 to 21 in favour of St Kilda. From the forward half, 27-31. So it was pretty much even across the ground, but St Kilda just got the job done in the end. It was, you look at the ratings, they should have won. They did win. Wasn't pretty. It wasn't great, but they got 4 points. Brownlow votes were gone. Nashaya Wanganeen-Malira, 4-3 votes. I think he was best on ground again this week. He's had a really, really good back half of the year. He's been good all year, let's be fair, but he's been really good over the back half. Tim Taranto, he's had a really good season as well. He gets 2 votes. And Callum Wilkie, for his intercept game in this one, gets the 1 vote. I think he was crucial. He had 16 marks, but 9 intercepts in this game. He had 29 disposals. 5 intercept marks, so he was really good. In a game where I don't think there was many standouts, I think he was really good. MVP votes for the losing team first. Richmond, Jack Ross gets the 5. He had 26 touches in this one. He was solid. Noah Baltack gets the 4. Played a key forward role this week. Kicked a goal from 12 disposals. He was the backup ruckman. He played solid. Wasn't outstanding, but solid enough. Tim Taranto gets the 3. He had 23 touches and a goal in this game. Ryan Mansell gets the 2 votes, and 1 vote to Toby Nankervis in the ruck. For St Kilda, as we said, Nashaya Wanganeen-Malira was best on ground. He gets the 10 votes, 33 touches, 7 of those contested. He kicked a goal, 7 marks, 1 clearance, 6 intercepts. Really good game from him. Jack Sinclair gets the 8. He also had 30 touches in this one and a goal. Callum Wilkie, as we said, dominated the intercept game. He had a really good game with 29 touches. Marcus Windhager played a slightly different role for him, more of a backline role in this one, but 32 touches. A lot of handball receives. Played a really good game overall, and Jack Steele gets the 2 votes. 17 touches in this one. Played a solid game throughout, and that is the MVP votes for that match. Looking at what that means, it's not much. Neither of these two teams are playing finals football this season, let's be honest. But St Kilda, they're sitting 11th on the ladder now with that win. They have the Bombers next week, so they quite possibly win that one as well. They're not going to go up to 10th. They're currently 3 games behind Sydney, so they're going to finish somewhere between 11 and 13 probably, depending on results. But I would say they win one of their games, which is next week against the Bombers. I can't think off the top of my head who they play in the final round, but you just got to put them at a point where a bit of a wasted season. Their end to the season's been really good. Obviously, they had a pretty tough run early days, but all mid-season way. They started well, they've finished pretty solid. That whole middle part of the season was really bad for them. They had like a 10-week period where they won 1 game, I think. It's just another wasted season, really, for them. But it's a bad position to finish as well. But it is what it is. And then Richmond, sorry, they've won 5 games this year. They're currently 16th on the ladder. They're a game and percentage behind the Bombers in front of them, so they're not going to go above 16th. They have North Melbourne next week, who are the team below them. So the winner of that is going to finish probably 16th on the ladder. The loser will finish 17th on the ladder. Not that it makes much difference overall, but I think Richmond have both of the first round picks for both of those teams anyway. It's just, Richmond will be bragging rights if they can finish above North Melbourne. We'll see how that plays out next weekend. But that's pretty much a wrap on that game and those two teams. We move on to the next match, and it was Brisbane-Sydney, and this was an upset. It was a close finish. It was a weird game, and we've got lots to talk about in terms of this one. So let's jump into it. Brisbane had a chance to jump into the top 2 and really set themselves up, but they let it slip. There's no doubt about it. They were leading halfway through the second quarter after a good start to the second quarter, about 10 points up, but then Sydney late in the second, early in the third, just turned it on. Isaac Heaney playing a great game. Halfway through the third quarter, Sydney were up by about 30 points. Brisbane got it back a couple late in the third quarter to be 20 points down at 3-quarter time. Sydney kicked the first of the last quarter through Brodie Grundy, and it looked like it was all over. And then Brisbane didn't even score until the 19th minute mark, score a goal that is, until the 19-minute mark of that final quarter. Logan Morris kicked one then. Then there was a bit of a spell again, and then all of a sudden, Brisbane from the absolute clouds, 20 points down, with about 2 minutes to go, just turned it on. Zach Bailey kicked 2 goals in a minute and a half of real lifetime, and then with about 4 seconds to go, Callum Archie kicked a goal as well to put them 2 points down. They couldn't get the miracle like St Kilda did a couple of weeks ago, and they lose it by 2 points at home. Their home form this year has not been outstanding, the Lions. They've travelled pretty well, but they'll be really disappointed with this loss. Sydney just showing what they could have been this year. They still clearly have the talent. They have a lot of talent on this list. They still have the skill, I think. And it's just a little bit of a lack of a few games that just went the wrong way for them, especially early season. They lost a couple close ones, and that's now stacked up to them missing finals. But as we've said over the recent weeks, they have the potential to upset a few teams heading into finals, and this is just another one of those that has happened. They get 2 more chances over the coming weeks to do the same to other teams. Team ratings basically dead level between the two teams. Sydney slightly up overall in our team rating system. Brownlow votes, Isaac Heaney gets the 3, and then Josh Dunkley 2. Hugh McCluggage gets the 1. I forgot to do team stats, so we'll go back and do that now. Sydney were plus 10 disposals. Brisbane dominated inside 50s. They were back to what they've done a lot of times this season. Not so much recent, but especially early season. Having a lot of inside 50s, a lot of opportunities, but just not creating shots at goal or goals enough. And that's what's cost them here. Plus 13 inside 50s, had only 1 extra shot for the game. So a bit disappointing for Brisbane in that regard. Contested footy slightly the way of the Swans. Intercept game plus 9 for Sydney, so they did really well in that. But Brisbane dominated the clearance game 40-21. As I said, shots were plus 1 for Brisbane, so inaccuracy certainly cost them here, and they'll be a little bit disappointed about that as well. Scoring from stoppages was Brisbane's favour, 34-20. For the amount of clearances that they dominated, they should have probably outscored them better than that. From turnover, Sydney did pretty well, 65-49. Back half was Sydney as well, 55-37. They transitioned it pretty well. All their numbers across the board of transition numbers were slightly better than the Lions in this one, and forward half scoring 35-32 in favour of Sydney. The Lions did manage 3 goals, 3 from the centre bounce, whereas Sydney got 0-2. So a little bit of a difference there. But overall, it was definitely definitely Brisbane. Wasted opportunities, I think, is a fair judgment of that one. MVP votes for the losing team, Josh Dunkley. We gave him 2 Brownlow votes for this game. He also gets the 5 MVP votes for Brisbane. He was outstanding. He had 31 touches and a goal, 7 intercepts, 6 clearances, 17 contested possessions, 6 inside 50s. He played a really, really good game throughout. From the start of the game, he started well. He played well all the way through. Harris Andrews gets 4 for his game. 15 intercepts in this match to lead all comers. He was really, really good. Darcy Wilmot, he's been in great form over the last month or 6 weeks or so. 27 touches, 2 goals. Really good game from him. He's really starting to prosper this season, I think. Levi Ashcroft, for maybe the first time this year, outrated his brother. He kicked 1 goal from his 27 touches, and Human Cluggage gets the 1 vote. He was good, 30 touches, 14 contested possessions, and 7 clearances. So he was good. For the Swans, Isaac Heaney was clearly their best player and best on ground, I think. 23 touches, 5 goals. He did it all again. When he's kicking goals, this Sydney team's really hard to beat. Nick Blakey gets the 4. He had 20 touches, obviously, as he always does. Run and carry game. 674 metres gained. 10 intercepts. Really good game. Chad Warner, important. 26 touches. 13 of those contested. 4 clearances, 2 goals. Angus Sheldrick gets the 4 votes. 26 touches and a goal from him. And Justin McInerney gets the 1 vote in this one. He had 19 touches. An important game, used the ball really well throughout. His disposal efficiency ended up at 95%. So that's basically everything from that game. What that means for both teams is pretty crucial for Brisbane, in all honesty. Not so much for Sydney. Obviously, they're sitting 10th on the ladder. That is where they're going to finish. It's almost impossible for them to change position. They can't go down. They definitely can't go down. And they could only go up if Bulldogs lost both games quite convincingly and Sydney won both games massively convincingly. So that's not going to happen. So they finished 10th on the ladder. They've won 4 of their last 5. They'll be kicking themselves for what they missed out on earlier this season. They do have a chance to upset Geelong next week. They're hosting that one, so that will be a crucial game, especially for Geelong, and whether they finish top 2 or not. If Sydney manage to get over the line on Sunday afternoon next weekend, that would be an interesting result. They play West Coast in the final week, so they'll win that one, in all honesty, probably. But yeah, that's basically where we're at the moment with them. Moving towards Brisbane and what they've got, where they're on the ladder. They dropped down to 5th with this loss. 2 points off 2nd on the ladder. It's a bit disappointing for them. They drop out of the 4. Obviously, they won the premiership last year from 5th on the ladder. They've got 2 big games coming up. There's no doubt about it. Next week, they play Fremantle. It is still conceivable that they miss finals if they were to lose both games, which would be a crazy story. If they lose both games and all the teams below them win 1 game and Bulldogs win 2 games, they miss finals. I don't see it happening, but it's just a crazy story. They have to travel next week too, all the way over to the west to play Fremantle, who are playing just about the best football in the competition right now. So that is a really, really big ask for them. They have travelled really well this year, so I'm certainly not writing them off in that game. They need to win both games if they want to play top 4. If they do win both games, they almost certainly will probably finish top 4, depending on some other results. Obviously, Gold Coast have that extra game, so could jump them. But they lose 1. They're going to be in 5th to 8th. They lose both games, potentially 8 to 9. So big, important game this weekend against Fremantle. And then I think the final week they host Hawthorn, which will be a massive game on a Sunday night. Potentially playing for a home final, potentially playing for top 4, potentially playing just to make finals. So that will be a big game on that weekend. We'll move into the next game of football because that's everything we have for those two teams. And we go to Saturday night football. It was first up, there was two games. First one was Carlton Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. Carlton put up a good fight in this one. They only just go down in the end. Played pretty good, but Gold Coast were just better, as was expected of them in all honesty from this season. Ended up 13-15, 93 to 11-8, 74, 19-point winners. Carlton stuck around all day and finished in the last quarter really well, kicking 5 goals to 1. So at three-quarter time, it was run and won. It looked like it was just going to be a blowout. But Carlton, to their credit, didn't give up. They played some good football in that last quarter. They kicked a few quick ones early in the quarter. And I think as far as things go, both teams probably pretty happy with the result. Gold Coast get the comfortable-ish win. That's all they need to keep doing, is just keep winning games of football. Carlton, their season's been long gone for a while now. And they did okay here. That's basically the long and the short of it. Team rating, 44.72 for Gold Coast, 39.95 for Carlton. I think that sums up this game pretty well. Carlton, okay. Gold Coast, solid, without being outstanding. Team stats, all the important numbers. Disposal numbers were pretty much dead level. 328 to 325 in favour of the Suns, so not much difference. 55 to 46 inside 50, so +9 for Gold Coast. They certainly had the ball in their half a bit more. Carlton really good in the contest in this game. Clearance numbers, only +1 for Gold Coast. Intercept game, +5 for Gold Coast. Intercept marks, 15 to 9. Contested marks, 12 to 8. So it's just all kind of just going Gold Coast way. Shots at goal, interestingly enough, was 26 to 23. So only 3 different. Even though Gold Coast 13-15, it looks like they were inaccurate. It wasn't that they were that inaccurate. There's a lot of rush behinds in that. 13 goals from 26 shots, whereas Carlton were 11 goals from 23. So technically speaking, Gold Coast were actually more accurate than Carlton in this game. Probably could have been even closer than the 19 points it ended up being. Tackle game really good from Carlton, +9. They'll be pretty happy with that number. Transition numbers all in favour of Gold Coast, as you would expect. They're a pretty good transition team. And yeah, Carlton probably not in the upper echelon of the league in terms of that. Scoring from stoppage, massively in favour of Gold Coast. Even though they were only +1 clearances in this game, they went 65 to 39 from stoppage. Turnovers, though, even though Gold Coast won the turnover game in terms of actual intercepts, Carlton actually got more scoring than Gold Coast, because Gold Coast kicked 2-10-22 to Carlton's 5-5-35. Score origin was pretty much even across the board, but centre bounce is one of the main differences. 4-1-25 for Gold Coast to 2 straight for Carlton, so +13 points there is a big difference. Brownlow votes for this game, we've got Matt Rowell 3, Ben King 2, and Miller 1 vote. MVP votes for the losing team, Carlton. Francis Evans gets the 5. He was really good in this game. He kicked 4 goals from 16 touches. He was very important for them. He's had a pretty good run of form, I think. Cooper Lord gets 4 votes for his 24 disposal game. Adam Sard gets the 3 for his 22 touches and a couple clearances. 2 goes to Ollie Hollins, and 1 goes to Lachlan Cohen. For the Gold Coast Suns, Matt Rowell continues his absolutely outstanding run of form. He could potentially be in for a Brownlow this year. 30 touches here, 9 clearances. Just a really, really good game of football. 8 inside 50s. I think he had a couple goal assists as well. Miller gets the 8 votes. He also had plenty of the football. 25 touches, 14 of those contested, 5 clearances, 5 intercepts. 6 goes to Ben King. He kicked 6 goals in this one. Had a really good game. Did what he does best. 9 touches, 6 goals. Took an absolute screamer as well. Might be my pick for Mark of the Year so far. It was an absolute ripper. Go check that out if you haven't seen it already. Braden Fiorini continued his awesome form. He's been really good of recent, and he had 22 touches and 2 goals. And Jared Witts in the ruck gets the 1 vote. Absolutely dominated the ruck contest throughout this game. And Gold Coast Suns get the win. And that's basically everything from that game. We'll have a look at what that means for both teams. Starting with Carlton, it basically means not a great deal for them. They're 14th on the ladder, 7 wins. Their percentage is pretty healthy, in all honesty. They could go up a spot, maybe a spot or two, depending on other results in these final couple of weeks. Probably win one of their games. They play Essendon in the final round, so potentially they jump Melbourne or Port Adelaide, maybe even St Kilda, depending on random results, I guess. They won't drop a position, so they're going to finish somewhere between 11 and 14 this season. Gold Coast Suns, though, they're 6th on the ladder, 14 wins with 3 games to play. Everyone else only has 2. That's huge for them. Top 4 is well and truly on. If you consider the Essendon game as a win, which in all honesty it should be, not necessarily will be, but should be. Right now they're sitting 60 points, 15 wins, with a really healthy percentage that would actually have them probably sitting 3rd on the ladder above Collingwood. So with 2 games to play, GWS next week is potentially the biggest game in Gold Coast history. We've said that a couple times this year, but they just keep getting bigger. They beat GWS next week. You could almost lock them in for a top 4 spot. So that is huge for the Gold Coast Suns next weekend, because then they finish with Port Adelaide in Adelaide and Essendon on the Gold Coast. All 3 of those are winnable games. Next week is massive, though. So that's that game. We'll jump into the other Saturday night game. This one was Port Adelaide Fremantle in Adelaide, and another game that went to the absolute wire. It was nearly an upset, but Fremantle held on in the end to win it by 6 points. We looked through the numbers, the stats, the score worm. It's an interesting game, there's no doubt about it. Freo absolutely dominated the first quarter, kicking 4-5 to 0-4. It looked like Fremantle by how much early on in this game. And then the second quarter started and Port Adelaide came out of the blocks. They kicked the first 4 to get within a kick. Then Sarong kicked an absolute ripper from an intercept and steadied a little bit. But then Port kicked the next 3 to take a lead, and led actually at halftime after being 25 points down at quarter time. And then third quarter, they played another good quarter, Port Adelaide. They led by 8 points at 3/4 time, but Fremantle have done what they've done many times this season, and that's come from behind. They hit the front through Patrick Voss midway through the quarter, and then Connor Rose with cramp kicked a good goal from the boundary to give Port Adelaide the lead again with minutes to go, not long, and then there was a rush behind to tie the game up before Alex Pearce pushed forward and took a big contested grab 30 metres out, went back and kicked the goal with about a minute to go to give Fremantle the 6-point lead, and in the end, the 6-point win. Huge result for Fremantle. It's all they needed was 4 points in this game, and that's what they got. Massive in the context of their season. They've been winning a lot of games lately after a really slow start to their season. They're basically doing the reverse of last year. Top 4 is a chance for them still. We'll have a look at the stats before we get to the ladder positions. Team ratings. Port Adelaide actually rated higher in this game, which is absurd and crazy to think. 44.01 to a 41.9. Pretty poor number from Fremantle. They never really rate that highly, to be honest. They win a lot of games with their rating below the other team. I reckon, I don't actually have the number, I haven't worked it out, but I'm fairly confident this is right, that they would have the most amount of wins this season from a lower rating than their opposition. Port Adelaide had 9 extra disposals in this game. Fremantle did have the 8 extra inside 50s. Intercepts went the way of Port Adelaide +5. Clearances were dominated by Fremantle +18. Contested footy was pretty much level peggings. It was shots inaccuracy from Fremantle that probably kept this close. 31 shots to 24. Port Adelaide just made use of their opportunities, whereas Fremantle did not. And that's basically what's kept the power in this one, I think, in the end. Scoring from stoppages, even though Fremantle were absolute domination of clearances in this game, they actually lost the scoring. Port Adelaide won at 50 to 42 there, but the turnover game was 50 to 36 in favour of Fremantle. Forward half, 58 to 47 in favour of Fremantle. And scoring from centre bounce, there were 7 goals. 3 goals, 2 from Fremantle, 4 goals straight from Port Adelaide. Brownlow votes, Caleb Sarong, I've gone 3. I think he was best on ground. Zach Butters was absolutely outstanding. He gets 2. And Alir, kicking a goal, having a massive game of 17 marks, 12 intercepts, gets 1 vote from me. MVP votes for the losing team. Zach Butters, we've gone 5 votes. He was their best player. Arguably could have been best on ground. He had 29 touches, 5 clearances. Really, really good throughout this game. Alir, we said his numbers already, but 22 disposals, 12 intercepts, 17 marks, kicked a goal. He was absolutely outstanding in what was his best game of the year. Kane Farrell, he gets 3 votes for his efforts in this game. He had 25 touches. Ollie Wines was solid. Maybe one of his better games of the year, 25 touches in this one. And Connor Rose kicked a couple goals, including a very late good one. He gets the 1 vote. Fremantle, as we said, Sarong was their highest rated player, 28 touches, 6 intercepts, kicked a goal, a really important goal in that second quarter. Neil Erasmus, he was really good in the second half. That's probably his best game of the year. He had 26 touches. He was really good, 12 of those contested. Andrew Brayshaw did what Andrew Brayshaw does best, 23 touches, 9 clearances. Shea Bolton, he gets the 4 votes. He was really good early, kicked 2 goals in that first quarter, 19 touches. And Michael Frederick gets the 2 votes for 17 touches, 2 goals. Honourable mention goes to my boy Murphy Reid. He was outstanding when it mattered most. He kicked 2 goals and got a clutch goal assist late. 14 disposals from him. As a first-year player, he's been outstanding. What that means for both of these 2 teams is also pretty important. Fremantle jump into the top 4 with the Brisbane loss, and they won. So 2 games that could have gone either way. Has just swung it to be them 4th on the ladder. It doesn't guarantee them top 4, sorry. Basically guarantees them finals. Not 100%, but almost does. They just have to win 1 game to guarantee finals from here. Top 4, they could win both games and still miss top 4 due to Gold Coast having that extra game. But playing Brisbane next week is a huge one at home. They win that, they guarantee finals. And it just sets themselves up for a really good tilt at a premiership run, I think. But if they lose next week against Brisbane, the week after, Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium becomes even bigger. So big 2 weeks coming up for Freo. They definitely will want to go out and win this game against Brisbane. Port Adelaide, as we said, their season's been over for a while. Ken Hinkley's got 2 games left in charge. They've got Carlton this week and then Gold Coast the following week. They probably win against Carlton. I don't think they beat Gold Coast. They're going to finish the season somewhere between 11 and 14 on the ladder. Probably 11 or 12, in all honesty. Probably 12, maybe, is my tip. It's been a rough season for them, and they're just counting down to the end of the days. Ken Hinkley's swan song. Do they have 1 more win for him? Maybe they will beat Gold Coast in his Ken Hinkley's final game as their coach. Who knows? But that's basically a wrap-up of that. We'll jump into Sunday games next. Well, Sunday kicked off with GWS v North Melbourne at Manuka Oval, and this one went pretty much how we expected, let's be honest. GWS kicked 5 straight in the first quarter to lead it by 15 points. Extended that lead out at halftime to almost 40 points. It was 38 points at halftime, 46 points at 3-quarter time, and ended up with a 54-point win over North Melbourne. Did what they needed to do. It was pretty comprehensive. There weren't really any times in this game after about the first 15 minutes where you genuinely believed North Melbourne had a chance. GWS did what GWS needed to do. They won the game. It sets up the rest of their season for sure. They ended up having a lot of scores, 2013 to 12-7. So I think just on that, you'd expect that they're pretty much going to have dominated the stat sheet. Team rating is a massive, massive win to GWS. 50.46 for the Giants, 40.52 for the Kangaroos. Yeah, pretty comprehensive. Did what they needed to. They ended up plus 61 disposals for the match. So a fair chunk extra disposals in favour of the Giants in this one. Inside 50s were plus 10. Contested possessions plus 18. Intercepts, GWS won that area as well, plus 3. They even won clearances by 7 over the Kangaroos. Had an extra 20 marks. They had an extra 6 intercept marks. They had an extra 12 shots. 33 shots for 20 goals is a very good conversion rate from the Giants, and 12 goals from 21 shots for the Kangaroos, which isn't too bad, but just not enough shots when you're conceding 33 shots the other way. Giants, 2 goals from kick-ins in this one, as well as 61 to 21 from a stoppage. So they absolutely dominated the stoppage area and kick-ins. And it was forward half. A lot of it was forward half. GWS outscored Kangaroos 71 to 38 in that forward half. We said that if Kangaroos were going to be even a chance to show up in a decent way in this game, they had to dominate that centre bounce scoring. That's their best avenue comparatively in to their opposition. And throughout the season, they did okay, but they conceded 2 goals as well. So they scored 3-2-20. GWS 2-2-14. So a couple extra goals than they would have liked from probably GWS from the centre bounce there. That's pretty much the stat sheet in terms of team stats, in terms of individual players. Brownlow votes were going Finn Callahan with 3 votes here. 31 touches, 15 contested possessions, 8 clearances, kicked a goal, was outstanding. Toby Green, 2 votes in his best game since early season. He started the season pretty well, but he's been a bit quiet of recent weeks, but a good time of the year to be getting going again. Had 23 disposals, 6 inside 50s, 10 marks, 7 shots. Could have had a field day, kicked 3 goals, 3. Tom Green gets the 1 vote from us with 25 disposals, 15 of those contested, 7 handball receives, a couple shots, kicked a goal. MVP-wise, we're going Toby Green was the highest-rated player. He gets 10. 8 to Finn Callahan. 6 to Tom Green. Aaron Cadman gets 4 for 4 goals from 4 shots. Only had the 12 disposals, but made use of them. Harry Himmelberg's had a really good second half of the season. He gets in for the 2 votes. He had 24 touches in this and 13 marks. 6 of those were intercept marks as well. So a really good performance from him. For North Melbourne, Luke Parker was the highest rated player for the Kangaroos. He had a total of 29 touches in the end, 8 clearances, and did kick a goal as well. Colby McKercher gets the 4 votes for second best for the Kangaroos, 27 touches in this one. George Wardlaw sneaks in for the 3 votes. He had 18 touches. 12 of those contested. A good game from him. Harry Sheasel gets the 2. He had plenty of it. 31 touches. 15 of those contested. 6 clearances as well. He was good. Luke Davies-Yanaki gets the 1 vote for the Roos. 20 touches for him. As well as 7 clearances. What that means for both of these teams. We'll start with Kangaroos because obviously less important. The 17th on the ladder. They're going to finish either 16th or 17th, depending on probably next week. If they can beat Richmond down in Tasmania, they will finish probably 16th. If they lose next week, you would imagine they will finish 17th on the ladder for the season. it's been a while since they won a game. They've really finished this season poorly. We here at All Aussie Rules were saying pre-season that par score for them was at least 7 wins. They're not going to get there. They're on 4.5. They win next week. They're getting closer to it. So maybe, just maybe, that will be a win. We'll see how that plays out for them. Yeah, that's North Melbourne. Other side of the fence, GWS, an important win because it keeps them in the 8 for now. They beat Kangaroos here. They sit 8th on the ladder. They're 1 win ahead of the Bulldogs, but their percentage is a long way below the Bulldogs. They're basically at the situation, win both games, you play in finals. You lose one, and all of a sudden, you just never know. They have Gold Coast next week, which is a huge game, as we've already mentioned when we're talking about the Gold Coast Suns. Huge game, that one, with huge ramifications for both teams' seasons. They play St Kilda final round, which they'll certainly start favourite for that. But if they were to lose to Gold Coast next week, they might be relying on luck of other results in that final round to qualify for finals. It will be interesting. At the moment, as it stands, there's 3 teams sitting on 56, 14 wins, and there's 1 team on 13 wins. So 2 wins will guarantee them finals, and maybe even potentially a home final, depending on other results. Whereas if you win one, it's going to be dicey. If they don't win either, they almost certainly won't be playing finals. So that's pretty much the lay of the green for the Giants. It's all going to come down to the next 2 weeks, but especially next week against Gold Coast. That is a huge game. That is one that everyone should definitely tune into because that has some massive ramifications for the year. It's the early game on Saturday as well next week, so maybe one worth tuning into on Saturday next week. Moving on to the next game, and this was almost an upset. Melbourne against the Bulldogs. This was at the MCG, and the Demons played really well. They nearly got it, in all honesty. One of their better games of the year, against a really good Bulldogs outfit that perhaps didn't defend as good as they would have liked, I don't think. Tends to not always happen, but reasonably regularly the Bulldogs concede a decent score against. It just happens just often enough to question their defensive abilities, but then other weeks they absolutely lock teams down. So make of it what you will. The Bulldogs won the game though. They led most of the way through the first 2.5 quarters. Melbourne hit the front late in the third quarter, and then the Bulldogs hit the front again, and then Blake Howes kicked a goal for the Demons midway through that final quarter to give them a couple-point lead before a couple quick ones through Riley West and Aaron Norton gave the Bulldogs the lead back, and Daniel Turner did get one with about a minute to go, but they couldn't get another one to tie it up. So Bulldogs get away with the win, keeps their season alive. If they had lost that one, it was not definitely over, but would have made it very, very difficult to make finals. As it stands, they get 2 games at Marvel Stadium with the chance of you win them both, you're probably going to play finals, depending on other results, but you're probably going to play finals if they win them both, just due to their percentage. Look at the team stats in this one. Team ratings, Melbourne 46.23, Bulldogs 49.82. So not too much of a difference between the 2 teams there. Suggests Melbourne were really good in this game. 46.23 is a pretty decent score for Melbourne this year. 49.83 offensively for Bulldogs is pretty good, but they'll be a little bit disappointed with how easy they were to score against in this game, I think. A look across some of the key stats in the game. Disposal numbers were pretty similar for both teams. It was inside 50s. Bulldogs absolutely dominated, 62-47, so plus 15 inside 50s. They had it in their forward half, over 55% of the game time. Intercepts were pretty level. Clearances were dominated by the Bulldogs, plus 15 here. Shots, 31 for the Bulldogs, 25 for the Melbourne Demons. So Melbourne, really efficient. 15 goals from 25 shots is a really good output. Meanwhile, Bulldogs 15 goals from 31 shots. Not quite as good. It's about probably just below average. Maybe should have won by a little bit more than 6 points, but overall their defense probably didn't stack up as well as they would have liked. Transition numbers, Bulldogs definitely transitioned the ball better than Melbourne in this game, but Melbourne just made use of their opportunities, I think, is the key takeaway from this game. Pretty even scoring from stoppages, 31 to 27 in favour of Bulldogs, and same with turnover, 67 to 59 in favour of the Bulldogs. In fact, across the board, it's pretty even. It was centre bounce goals that maybe were the difference in the end. Bulldogs got 3 goals, 1 from centre bounce, whereas the Melbourne Demons only managed to 1 goal, 2. So 11-point difference there, 6-point margin in the game. Make of that what you will. Brownlow votes for this one. We have gone Ed Richards for 3 votes. He was absolutely outstanding in this one. He had 31 touches, 17 of those contested, 14 clearances. Yes, that's right, 14 clearances, 2 goals from 3 shots. He had an absolutely outstanding game. He is developing into one of the best midfielders in the competition. And this this Bulldogs midfield, when it's rolling, they have some good players. Bontempelli, we've gone 2 votes for this one. 33 touches. Didn't get a goal, had 1 shot. 7 clearances, 5 marks, 12 contested possessions, 7 inside 50s. He was really good. Max Gawn, given 1 vote. He was really good for the Demons. He was the best ruckman on the ground by an absolute mile. 23 touches, 5 clearances, kicked a goal. Absolutely dominated the ruck work throughout most of this game. MVP votes for the losing team, the Melbourne Demons. Max Gawn gets the 5 votes. As we just said, his stats, he dominated this game. Harrison Petty, gets the 4 votes. 15 touches, kicked 2 goals. Christian Salem gets 3 votes in this one. He was good. He had 24 touches. Ran, carried, played a good game, no doubt about it. Jai Cully, in maybe a little bit of a surprise, gets 2 votes. He rated pretty well in this game. 16 touches, 11 of those contested. So a really heavy contested game, 5 clearances for him. And Jake Bowie gets the 1 vote for them. He had 21 touches in this game. For the Bulldogs, highest rated player by far was Ed Richards. We went through his numbers before. As we did with Bont, he gets the 8 votes. Bailey Dale, he gets 6 votes in this one for being Bulldogs' 3rd best player. 30 touches. He was really good in this one. Had plenty of the ball. Aaron Norton continued his splendid form as a key forward. He's pushing towards All-Australian nomination, which would be absolutely crazy. He kicked 5 goals, 1 in this one. And Tom Liberatore rounds out the Bulldogs midfield that dominated. 24 touches, 9 of those contested, 4 clearances. Another really good performance from Libba in this one. Next, where does that sit both of these teams? Obviously, Melbourne's season is over. They're well and truly outside the hunt of the finals. That's just got 7 wins for the year. They play 2 tough teams the final 2 weeks. They play Hawthorn next week, and then they finish with Collingwood. So both teams in the race for finals. They could cause a little bit of pain to either or both of those teams in the run home, which would be interesting. They're going to finish somewhere between the spot of 11th on the ladder and maybe down to 14th. They'll be in that range somewhere. They probably, you'd imagine, lose both of those games. They might win one, they might not. But you'd say they won't be starting favourite in either of those. So potentially they probably might drop a spot to Carlton, who should probably win at least one of their games. The Bulldogs, they're sitting 9th on the ladder. They keep their season alive. They're 1 game behind GWS, Hawthorn and Gold Coast. Gold Coast, of course, have an extra game than the Bulldogs. But the Bulldogs' percentage is so high that there's still a lot of possibilities for them. If they win both of the games, they're playing both at Marvel against the 2 Western Australian teams. Fate's in their hands, really. They do need one team above them to drop a game. which isn't guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. But if either GWS or Hawthorn drop a game in the next 2 weeks, they will jump above them if they win both of their games. So they have to keep playing winning games. That's pretty much all they can do, and hope that other teams fall that are above them. That's basically where they're at. Next up, final game of the round. We headed over west, very far west. It was West Coast Adelaide, top v bottom of the ladder, and what an almost upset this was. Unbelievable game of football. West Coast end up losing 12-6-78 to 13-9-87 after leading with about 10 minutes to go in this game. If you look at the stats, leader time, they actually led this match for slightly more than Adelaide Crows by about 2 minutes total. It's a game that, second time that West Coast as the 18th place team has played the top ranked team in the AFL this season. And both times I've led at halftime, first against Collingwood and then today against Adelaide. They were leading by 6 points at halftime and then kicked the first 2 of the third quarter to really just extend it out and make it look like maybe the upset was on. Adelaide turned it around, kicked 3 quick ones, and then West Coast kicked a few quick ones. But in the end, Adelaide through Rankin Thilthorpe and Riley Thilthorpe again ended up putting a winning margin on the Eagles, who did kick 1 goal late, but it was too little too late as they go down by 9 points in a crazy game of football. Looking at the key stats here, team ratings 44.69 is pretty low for Adelaide, especially this season. Most games they rate higher than that, so they certainly wasn't one of their better performances. Meanwhile, 41.11 for West Coast is actually one of their better results. Most of their games are below 40. So West Coast will be pretty happy with their performance. They showed a bit today. They would have liked to have stolen the win. It would have been a little bit of a confidence boost, I guess, for some of their younger players. But as it stands, Adelaide get the win. They had 41 extra disposals. They had 14 extra inside 50s, did the Crows. Ball was in their forward half a lot more, about 54%, sorry. Plus 9 contested possessions, plus 11 clearances for the Crows. West Coast shining light was their intercept game, plus 5 intercepts for the match. Total shots was 25 Adelaide, 18 West Coast. So Adelaide certainly had their opportunities and wasted a few, and that kept the West Coast Eagles in it in the end. Transition numbers for both teams were very poor, in all honesty. That's probably the biggest issue from Adelaide's perspective in this game, was they didn't transition the ball anywhere near as good as they usually do. Numbers well below average. Scoring from stoppages was great from Adelaide, 53 to 25. Meanwhile, it was basically reversed for scoring from turnover. West Coast 53, Adelaide 34. Other than that, there's not too much else to go through in team stats wise. Brownlow votes, we got Jordan Dawson, 3 votes again. He's having an outstanding season. And he's looking more and more like a genuine Brownlow chance this year. He had 26 touches in this one, kicked a goal, 11 inside 50s, 10 contested possessions, 5 clearances, was outstanding. 2 votes were going to Tim Kelly, who played arguably his best game for the Eagles this year. 25 touches in this one, 11 clearances and a goal. And Isaac Rankin kicked a late goal that was very important, had 23 touches as well, was very good. MVP votes for the Eagles, as we said, Tim Kelly was their highest rated player. He gets 5. Liam Baker has put together a really good season, I think, this year. Potentially, probably wins their best and fairest, I think. He had 14 disposals, 7 intercepts and kicked a goal, as well as 6 contested possessions. Liam Ryan gets the 3 for his 12 touches and 3 goals. 2 votes goes to Sandy Brock, 12 touches, 9 intercepts, 5 marks. And Matt Flynn gets the 1 vote for the Eagles. Didn't have a heap of it, but he was solid in the ruck in this one. Didn't get outshined by his opponent in Riley O'Brien. For the Crows, Jordan Dawson clearly rated the highest. He gets the 10. Rankin, he was next. He gets 8. Rory Laird gets the 6 votes. He had plenty of it, 25 touches. Really good game from him. Riley Thilthorpe continued his fine season. He's probably in the conversation, you'd imagine, for an All-Australian gig this year. 15 touches, 3 goals, 10 contested possessions. Really good game. And Zach Taylor gets the 1 vote. He had 20 touches and a goal in this game. That's all 9 games, but don't leave just yet. We've got plenty more content just to go through. We're going to go through our Brownlow leaderboard, our MVP leaderboard after round 22, and how our tips went this weekend. So stick around. And while you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all those things. Hit up our socials. We've got content every single day. Let your friends know about us. Let your parents know about us. Let everyone know about All Aussie Rules. We're doing our best to give you the best football content that you could want. Jumping into the Brownlow leaderboard after round 22, and this is the top 10. We've got Jordan Dawson out in front, solo lead now, 29 votes for the year. Matt Rao, 27, equal with Nashaya Wanganeen-Malira. Don't forget that Gold Coast have that extra game to play, so Matt Rao's well and truly in contention at the moment. 26 to Nick Dacos, Caleb Sarong, and Max Holmes. 24 to Brayshaw and Bailey Smith. 20 to Noah Anderson, Jai Newcomb, and Zach Butters. Interestingly, pretty much everybody on that leaderboard did poll votes this week. The ones that didn't were Nick Dacos, Andrew Brayshaw, and Noah Anderson. They were the only 3 in the leaderboard that didn't poll a vote this week. So most of the big names, most of the big guns were getting votes this weekend. It's going to be an interesting tight race come the end of the year. It'll be interesting to see how the umpires have seen it, if it's much different to what we've said here. But as it stands, after round 22, Jordan Dawson solo lead by 2 votes on Matt Rao and Nashaya Wanganeen-Malira. Jumping into our MVP leaderboard, we explained at the start of the episode how the voting works for this. So go back if you don't know or missed that bit, go back and check that out. This is how it stands after round 22, and Matt Rao has put up a lead with that extra game in the bank as well. He is looking very much like he is going to win the MVP from All Aussie Rules this season. He's on 113, 10 votes ahead of Jordan Dawson and Max Gawn, both on 103. Then it's 4-way tie on 102. Nick Dacos, Bailey Smith, Noah Anderson, and Brodie Grundy. 100.5 to Hugh McCluggage. 99 for Sarong in the Fremantle jam of Brayshaw 94 and Luke Jackson 90. Zach Butters 89, Tom Green 88, Nashaya Wanganeen-Malira on 87, Max Holmes and Jack Sinclair on 86. Once again, most of that list did poll votes this week. The only ones that didn't are Anderson, Grundy, and Andrew Brayshaw, I think, are the only 3 on that list that did not poll a vote this week. Nick Dacos got just 1. Other than that, everyone else polled pretty well this weekend. So that leaderboard is also really heating up at the moment. Before we jump into how our tips went, don't forget that the next episode of the podcast will be out on Thursday. It's going to be looking at round 23 coming your way this weekend. It will also take a look at opening round, the first round for the AFLW. We'll run through those games as well. So make sure you check it out Thursday morning. It will go live on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. This is how our tips went in round 22. Started really well. We went Hawthorn by 6. They won by a lot more than 6 points. They won by 64, but we get the tick anyway. Geelong, we said 70. They won by 44, so that's a tick as well. St Kilda only just got over the line by 4 points in the end, but we got that one. We got Brisbane wrong. We went Brisbane. Sydney won it by 2 points. We did mention that that was a potential upset game, though. Gold Coast won by 19. We said 23, so we're pretty close in that one. Fremantle just snuck over the line by 6 points. So we get that one. Giants, we went 45. They won by 54. So not too bad in the margin stakes there. Bulldogs won by 6. So we were a little bit off there. And we're a little bit off again on the last one. They only won by 9 points. We said 75, but we go 8 out of 9 for the week. 135 out of 188 for the season. Not the best numbers, but I mean the recent probably 8 weeks, 10 weeks have been really good. It was early season, we dropped too many. So that's all our tips for this week. Don't forget to check out All Aussie Rules on all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook. We've got them all. We post most days on all of them. There's plenty of content, plenty of good content, I believe. So go check that all out. Don't forget to come back for the next podcast. Don't forget to hit up the YouTube and check out all the videos. AFLW starts this week. Get excited. My name's Jay. This is the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. And I'll catch you on the next one.